and thanks for joining us, and we'll take some comments and questions.
All righty, guys. Happy Tuesday. Another great road opportunity for us, and a great challenge for us in a couple ways. We've got a lot of respect for Coach Whittingham and the job he's done within our league. He has been exceptional with his team in home openers, where he's unblemished 11-0 in home openers. Has done a tremendous job. And Rice Eccles has always been a hard place to go to and play. A little bit different situation this year with the fan protocol. I think Salt Lake has some tremendous fans, and that's always been an asset to their football team in that stadium. So it'll be a little bit different atmosphere this time around. As far as their team goes, offensively, when you look at them, an experienced offensive line, four of the five guys have starting experience coming back. Quarterback wise, we'll find out between Lisk and Bentley and Rising. Really haven't named a guy yet. They're going through practice right now and still in a competitive situation. They lose Zach Moss, who's been a force in this league for a number of years, but Brumfield and Jordan Wilmore have we've seen both of them and are both talented backs. And then obviously receiver wise, I think that's one of the strengths of their offense, and have always been a big fan of Britton Covey and the job he's done not only as a receiver but as a returner. Defensively, a lot of new faces, to be honest with you. It was a talented defense last year, and lost a lot to the league. And now you're going to see some new faces on the defensive line. I think the one stronghold and the rock of their defense has got to be the linebacker position. Sewell and Lloyd, we've both seen and have done a really nice job. Secondary wise, it's going to be an entirely new secondary across the board. 5 new starters, at all 5 DB positions in their nickel package. And, not is the one thing, not having a game on tape. Don't really know what personnel matchups look like right now, but we'll have to get a feel for that as the game goes on. Injury wise for us, Brett Nealon did get some work yesterday. We had a light practice yesterday. And he was able to move around. We'll see how he progresses, but it was good to see him on the field getting work. Brandon Peely did not practice with us yesterday. We'll monitor his situation as we go through the week. I'll be able to give you more information on Thursday. EA did not practice with us yesterday, still going through concussion protocol. Caleb Tremblay was out on the field, very limited work. We'll see how that goes through the week. And Talanoa was on the field yesterday, got limited work as he's dealing with that deep thigh bruise. And we'll see how that goes through the week. I'll be able to give you better information on Thursday as we get a couple practices under our belt. So with that, I'll answer any questions you got about the game.
Okay, and a reminder, just raise your hand if you have a question. Otherwise, keep yourself on mute. We'll start with Shotgun.
Hey, Clay, it feels like we're still looking to see when this team will reach its full potential. When's the last time you feel like, you guys were at your full potential in a game?
Well, one of the things, Shotgun, that I see about this team is growing. This is a team that I thought even last year grew as the quarterback grew, and those players that were making their first starts, are getting this experience. And I think you see players improving. I've watched a Drake London grow from a first year start to where he is now. An Elijah Griffin just grow before our eyes over the last basically 15 games. So you look at Keenan Slovis, you look at Markese Stepp, you look at all these young players that have really gotten their opportunities and grow, and they're growing together. I think in the last 15 games, these kids that were all young now getting older, 10-5, and they're growing together, and they're getting better at both individually. Now we want to put it together all together as a total team, and a lot of things come into play with that. Health, continued growth, eliminating mistakes. But this is a team, Shotgun. I've told you this early in the season. I think this can be a special team, and because they're bonded together, they have a great mental toughness to be able to pull out tough wins. I think they're an extremely disciplined bunch, especially in some critical situations. So for us, I look forward to seeing us have a perfect game. It's always out there. That's the beauty of the game. You're always fighting to have a perfect game. But if you're talking about the growth of players as a team and individually, I'm seeing that growth. If you look at from last year to now, they have grown and gotten better both individually and as a team.
Okay, we have Josh Newman from the Salt Lake paper on with us. Josh, your turn. Josh, are you there? You're on mute.
Sorry. Clay, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Josh.
We see what the COVID situation is right now in Utah and specifically Salt Lake City. The situation has kind of gotten worse here in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Is there any level of concern in terms of bringing your team into this environment this weekend, given what the situation is?
Well, I know it's being monitored daily. As a team, we focus on what we can control, and that's the health and safety of our team currently right now and the protocols that we follow as far as testing, social distancing, everything that we're doing on a daily basis that's kept us healthy and safe. We're focused on that as well as having finals this week and prepping for a good Utah team. People that are a lot smarter than me and whose job it is will make that determination if we get that opportunity. We hope we do. It looks like it's trending in the right direction. It sounded like yesterday that Kyle and the team got to go out and practice, which is great. And our hope and prayer is everybody stays healthy and safe this week and we get the opportunity to compete together. And I'm hoping for Kyle's kids too, because I know everybody wants to have the opportunity to play the game they love. So let's hope it trends in the right direction. And I know the one thing that I have seen in this situation is our government leaders, our university leaders, our conference leaders have done everything possible to make sure that the right decisions are made. And if it's right, then we'll get the opportunity. If not, then we adapt and look for the next opportunity.
And just a quick follow-up, Clay. What are the difficulties of trying to prep for a team that, one, doesn't have any film this year, given they haven't played, and two, having no film and so much new personnel?
Yeah, Josh, this is our third one, to be honest with you. If you followed us, we've had we walked into the first game against Arizona State really with 2 new coordinators on that football team, and Marvin Lewis, who is one of the legends of the game. We hadn't called the game in a while, so you didn't know what you were really walking into there. Last week, extremely similar, with Coach Rhodes being the DC and not having called a game since 2017. You were having to adapt. In this game, a little bit different because there's not 2 new coordinators, so you get a feel for structurally and schematically what they can be. You don't have proof of it this year that they haven't changed because of their personnel changes on defense and offense, but at least you schematically you get something. Where we're missing some of the things, there were a lot of good players on last year's team, and where we're missing right now is just the personnel matchups of not being able to truly see guys on tape and what they look like. There'll be a lot of first time starters, especially in the secondary. So those are the things that you're kind of limited to. But we've been in this scenario before. It's been the first 3 games, and I credit our coordinators because I thought they've done a really nice in-game adaptation. Learning on the run what's going on, and then creating a plan, communicating the plan, and executing the plan.
I appreciate it, Clay. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Ryan, Carchi.
Good morning, Clay. I know you talked a little bit about the changes you wanted to see in the run game and how you may have seen a couple of those already, but you talked about comparing to like Alabama and LSU and those programs in terms of how they run the ball. I guess philosophically, were there any big changes that you guys had to make in terms of improving the run game, or in which ways did you feel like as a whole, the run game needed to improve from what you saw last season?
Well, I think one of the things that you learn, it was first year in the system for me too, as a head coach, and I saw how explosive. I mean, you see how explosive this offense can be. It was a top 20 offense in year one, a top 6 passing offense in year one of the system, which just blew me away. But as you looked at everything and where you wanted to go, you look at, okay, what hurt us last year? What were some of the things that could lead you to a possible a loss rather than a victory. And you have to deal with that reality. And so when I looked at it, one of the things that stood out to me was when people do drop into zone and are dropping 8, that can put a lot of pressure on a quarterback. And one of the things that I loved about Graham compared to maybe others in his field of the air raid offense is he was a little bit different. That he had played under Coach Leach. He had felt that pressure before. And when you looked at what he had done at North Texas, he had the discipline to be able to call the runs in the most critical situations. That really hit home to me. As we looked at last year, we got into some of those drop 8 situations, and we could run the ball, but we needed to run the ball a little bit better. So that was a primary focus on us. And I put a graph. I put a graph up on saying, hey, here is LSU, who's an elite passing team, Alabama, who's an elite passing team, and USC, who's an elite passing team. Obviously, LSU won a national championship, I think, with 168 yards rushing per game. That extra 50 yards that they had per game, that helps a quarterback. That helps maybe 5-6 drives in a game, take some pressure off. So I appreciate Graham, and you've already seen in the most critical situation with 33 seconds left on the 8-yard line, he calls the run versus an advantage drop 8 look that splits and creates a touchdown. Called a run early in that game to Stephen Carr. On a 2nd and long, where most pass-oriented guys would be like, "Oh gosh, let's go throw the ball." He hands the draw off. He hands the draw off, and it goes all the way down to the 2. So this is where in year 2, I think we're growing and needed growth. And I think it makes us a more dangerous team. You look at right now, we're one of the top 10 offenses in the country. I think we're number 9 right now per yardage per game, and moving the ball. And so that is an important part. And 2 things have happened for us, I think, right now, Ryan, that I think that's why you see the numbers so high. One, the improvement in the run game, and that's got to keep going, and it's going to get challenged this week against a good defensive front. And 2, the discipline of the quarterback and how he's growing, checking the ball down and not forcing the ball into those maximum zone drop coverages, and again getting the ball to back 17 times in the first 2 games. So that's where I think that we've been different going from year 1 to year 2.
And what would you say is the best way to improve the per carry efficiency? Because I know you guys have obviously improved in total rushing wise, but it seems like the running backs are still not necessarily getting enough out of those carries.
Well, 5.6 last game was pretty good. I think a lot of teams would love 5.6 a carry, and I think it's 4.8 for the season. It's something I look at each and every game. That's ahead of last year. And so is there progress as we're talking about progression? Yes, there is progress in the run game. Now, we got to keep the consistency, and we want to elevate it even higher. You'd love to, even try to reach that 5+ mark per carry. But last game was 5.6 on I think it was 34 attempts last game, and it's 4.8 for the season. So we did have some growth from game 1 to game 2. That was good, and I look forward to continue.
One last question for Coach before we go to our next group. Take it from Shotgun.
Hey, Coach Keaton, has had some wobbly throws, and he said it was something mechanical on Saturday. Have you guys, studied any video maybe from last season to compare where his mechanics are for now? And have you identified anything so far?
No, again, I addressed this on Sunday night, Shotgun, but I'll do it again. in envisioning with Keaton post game, it had to do more with just the tackiness of the ball. I don't know if you've ever thrown a ball that's really slick in dry air and windy air, and just having a good grip on it. Didn't feel confident with that. We had some newer balls that were out there, some slick balls, and he was managing through that. Once you put your game balls in, those are there. But the balls were a little bit newer and just didn't feel great in his hand, and he managed to work through it. And typical him, 70% and 300 yards plus. If that's our off day, so be it. We actually worked with him last night and getting a group of candidate footballs that he really likes and feels good in his hand. I think it is a one-time thing, to be honest with you, that you'll see. When you have that slick ball in your hand sometimes and you're non-confident, it will change your mechanics a little bit. But he spun it as pretty as I've ever seen last night. So, we're going to another dry climate, a cold, dry climate. So, we want to make sure, you always want to make sure your quarterback, or whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a pitcher, you see it in baseball all the time, right? The pitcher throws one pitch, it hits the ground, and that ball's gone. Well, we don't have that advantage in college football. Those balls are already in and already going. So I don't think that you'll ever hear about it ever again after this game. But he spun it as good as I've seen last night.
All right, Clay, thanks for joining us. We'll let you go and get on with your day. And we have Coach Harrell and Jalen McKenzie and Markese Stepp here with us. So we'll start off by just taking questions. So again, please raise your hand. Keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking.
Have a great day, guys.
We'll start with Ryan Carchi. Ryan.
Good morning, Graham. I know Clay talked a little bit about the changes that you guys wanted to make in the run game and the philosophy on that heading into this season, but how would you say your philosophy on the run game has changed maybe over the years?
I don't know if my philosophy's ever really changed. I think to be great, you got to be able to run the football effectively, and that's why, obviously if you watched us compared to like a Mike Leach tape, we have a little bit more run scheme, and we'll play with an H-back to help that out. And it's something we believe in, and something that we think we have to do well, or that we have to be able to do at a high level in order to win at the level we want to win at. And so, I think that last week we were pretty efficient and pretty effective in the run game. And to be honest with you, that's probably what won us the game, or at least kept us in it long enough to find a way to win in the end.
And what have you seen out of Markese, especially this year, just coming off of the injuries that he had?
Markese's done a lot of great things. Markese, if you look at him last year when he was healthy, he really was getting hot and really getting on a roll. And he's a tough back to tackle. He sees things well. He has, I think he has a lot of it's just a natural feel for space and where the ball's supposed to hit. And so that obviously helps because, Coach Jinks played quarterback. I mean, if you handed the ball to one of us, we'd be very ineffective running the football. So you can't teach guys stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so to have a lot of that, I think, is just feel. And he has a natural feel for where that ball is going to hit, and then he's low to take down when he does run into someone. And so you put those two things together, and you got a pretty special football player. And so that's what Keese has done a really good job of. And I think that coming off the injury, last week he looked more confident than the first week. And so hopefully every week that he's back, he's just going to continue to get better and better and more confident. And it just makes the run game that much better.
We'll go to Adam Grossbard.
Graham, the team was 1-4 on 3rd and short situations on Saturday. What do you think has led to some of the issues in those type of situations?
Some of it's miscommunication. I think that there was one was a miscommunication. I'm trying to think of what they all looked like. One I actually thought we got, and they marked it short. And one, they were just more physical than we were, to be honest with you. On the one where we were in double tight deuce and we tried to run outside zone that way, we had 2 people getting blown up in the backfield. A receiver got shucked by the safety, and the running back kind of patted his feet in the hole, and that's a recipe for disaster in a short yardage situation, as you saw. So, I think that they did a good job, and then there were times where we did a good job. And if you look at, they weren't necessarily 3rd and 4th and 1, but on the goal line when I think it was Carr scored, they had way more in the box than we did, and it wasn't a great look to run into. But that's what we preach to these guys, is just a mentality. And at the end of the day, if you come in there with the right mentality and right mindset and decide that you're going to be physical and go get it, we're going to go get it. And that's what happened on that play. And so, I think that on the miscommunications, those are easy to clean up. On the other ones, we just got to be tougher and have a different mindset that we're going to get it no matter how many people are in there.
And Markese, one of the things Clay's really liked to say about you the last couple of months is just how confident you've been playing. What do you think has led to that increase in confidence for you?
I would say, the preparation that we put in before the season, just going out there, running around, catching routes on air, that's helped a lot. And also, just going in there every day into rehab, working and just trying to get better has definitely helped me, with my confidence and getting back and just playing fast and playing the way that I know how to play.
Okay, Antonio.
Graham, there's been a lot of talk about Keaton's passes and his mechanics the past couple of days. How do you prevent that from being something, he thinks about too much, during the game?
There's nothing wrong with Keith's mechanics. I don't know where he pulled that out of. I watch him throw every day, and it's not a mechanic thing. That's for certain. And so I'm not concerned about his mechanics at all, to be honest with you. Obviously, the ball didn't spin. I think the ball slipped out of his hand once, and then it got in his head. And that's just something that quarterbacks and certain positions in certain sports can be head cases at times, or can get in their own head, like Coach said, even like pitchers or the certain sports and certain positions in sports. Batters have to have this specific stuff going on and all this stuff. So, I think more than anything, he kind of got in his head, because I think early on, a ball probably slipped out of his hand, and then he thought about it too much. But there's nothing wrong with Keith's mechanics.
And I think that was the 3rd game-winning drive he's led, in the past year or so. What makes him, so strong in the 4th quarter, when it comes to ending games?
I think that that's just something that some people have and some people don't. And that's something that's very important, obviously, for a quarterback. And you can look across, I don't really care what level it is or what era it is. There's always certain guys that are really good in tight situations and really good when the game's on the line and find ways to win football games when they need to. And I think that obviously we have a lot of great players around him, and all those guys are pretty committed to winning football games. And I think that culturally we're really good right now, offensively, doing some really good things. They bought in, and no one's panicking, no one's pointing a finger. And so when things get tight, no one blinks. And so that helps. But also I think, especially at the quarterback position, like I said, that's just something that some guys have, and it's usually the great ones that do have it. You know what I mean? And like I said, you can look at any era, and there's going to be a couple guys, a couple quarterbacks in every era that it's like, man, every time the game was on the line, they found a way to win. And that's something obviously that you've won in a quarterback, and that Keaton obviously has a lot of. And so when the moment gets big, he doesn't panic, he doesn't get tight, he just goes out there and does his job and expects to win and expects to make a play. And that's what's happened the last 2 weeks. And that's been really good for him.
Let's go to Eric McKinney.
Jalen, you guys had some shuffling on the offensive line coming into this year from last year. What have you seen sort of ups and downs so far through the first 2 games from that group up there?
Yeah, I think we did have a lot of shuffling between all of us, finding the 5 guys who are about to go out there and just be able to execute and give us the best chance. And I think through these first 2 games, I've seen us work together as a group pretty well, but we just have to make sure that we take all the mental mistakes and any type of thing that's keeping us away from being assignment perfect out of our game. And I think as the season goes along, we'll gel together even more. But I think I like the way that we've been able to find our unit and our five and been able to communicate up and down the line and work with everybody else. So I think it's been pretty good up to this point, but we just need to keep working so that we can be assignment perfect and not make any of those little mistakes that have a big impact.
And then Markese, it seemed like finding three guys in that tailback rotation isn't always the easiest thing to do. How's that been? That rotation and the three of you kind of working together there in the backfield?
You know, I think it's been great. We get it done by committee, and you know, I think we're all capable of playing at a high level, and I think it's just the matter of whose number is called. And I think any guy in that room, from me to Ben to Vi and to Keenan, I think any of us can get it done on any given day, and you know, it's just our preparation and our focus when we are in practice.
Ryan Young.
Markese, it was a long road back from ankle surgery. At what point did you start to feel like yourself again? And then how validating has it been to see the results come so far this fall?
You know, yeah, it was a long road. I still feel like there's room for improvement as far as getting my ankle stronger. And you know, I feel the best that I have been, but I don't think it's the best that I can be. And you know, it's just I gotta keep working and keep getting in the rehab room and just getting better and better each day.
And then Jalen, what's your assessment on the short yardage struggle so far, and anything more you feel the O-line can do in that regard?
I think, to be honest, it's just like be able to, obviously you want to convert every single one that you have. So like, I think that would be the only thing to focus on, you know, like going 1-4, 2-4, 3-4, or if it's like, oh, you got the 3rd and 2, but missed the 4th and 1, it's just whatever. It's just, you're trying to convert every single one that you get, and make sure that our coaches were preaching kind of the things that they think about in the league when they get to short yardage situations, and that those are the most attention to detail downs, coupling with the red zone, that like that's when your attention to detail has to go up. And so I think that's really important for us, just knowing that our attention to detail has to go up in that moment, no matter if we're going fast or trying to get it done. It just everybody has to be on point for that one down. And then after that, you recoup and just get the next 3 downs. But for that one down, and no matter if it's 4th and 1, 3rd and 3, anything like that, it just has to, the attention to detail for that has to go up.
Okay, shotgun.
Graham, having played quarterback, what effect does a wobbly throw have on a play and how it develops?
I mean, the development of it doesn't have a ton to do with the result. Has a ton to do with, because the ball's not going to get to where it needs to be as effectively. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I think that, you know, I think the one through the Drake late, goes well, and Drake still ever make a play. You know, the ball just doesn't have the same kind of pop it would have had if it's spinning. You know, one early on 3rd down, we had Tyler on an in route, and came out of his hand wrong, and he missed it. You know, so like the development of the play, it's not changing anything, because that's just going on. It's just once the ball comes out of his hand, it's not going to be as accurate, and it's not going to get there on the same timing that a lot of people expect. You know, the other one I can think of is when he tried to throw deep to Amon-Ra down the sideline, same drive as the one where he missed Tyler on the post. Didn't come out of his hand right, and now the ball's underthrown because it's not spinning, it doesn't go where you expect it to go. And so, you know, I think that that's really all that it affects, is the result of the pass more than anything else. And the receivers have done an incredible job, or did an incredible job the other night, from what I understand on the sideline, is just being patient and knowing that sooner or later the ball is going to find them. And no one panicked. You know, they were saying, Drake said, hey, we're going to connect, and then they connect on the big one. You know what I mean? Amon-Ra coming off the field, I don't know how many catches he had going into that last drive, but he didn't have a ton. But, you know, one of my favorite clips of the game, we threw an out route to Tyler, and this was before that final drive. It might have been the second to last drive. And we just completed a simple out route, and Amon-Ra's fist pumping because we completed a ball and we're on pace. And, you know, I don't know if a year ago that would have been the case with some of those guys. if they don't have many catches, them fist pumping whenever another guy's catching the ball, because it's natural for a receiver to want the football. But that's where I think we are culturally, and that's why we've stayed alive in games. And like I said, Amon-Ra, who's a great player, doesn't have many catches, doesn't have a ton of yards, would be very easy to be frustrated or be mad because he's not getting the ball, but he's bought into what we've talked about. He's doing things right. He's more worried about the team success than his own success. And then in the last drive, he might have had 4 of the 5 completions where Amon-Ra ends up with over 100 yards because those guys just keep believing and keep trying to play unselfishly. And if you've got a unit of 11 guys, especially as gifted as our guys, doing things right, being selfless, and disciplined, like we talk about every single day, sooner or later the ball's going to bounce your way. And like I said, I think that the receivers have done an incredible job of that. Even when it could have been frustrating, it could have been very easy to get frustrated the other night, and they stayed calm, they kept relaxing, kept playing, and good things ended up happening in the end.
And then Clay deferred to you, and we get a lot of questions about this. So can you just explain why there are no under center snaps in your offense? Maybe the advantages, disadvantages there.
More than anything, I think that it's just not something we do a ton, and if you're going to do that, you're going to have to invest a lot of time in it. You know what I mean? And I think that across the board, that as you see, you go watch high school games, and even if you go watch the NFL, there's less and less of it in the game in general. And so that's something that I know it's simple and it can be taught easily, but it's not something. It takes time and it takes work. And just for that quarterback center exchange, the footwork with the quarterback and everything like that. And so we have a limited time in practice, and our whole philosophy is try to get good at what we do. You know what I mean? And so we're committed to what we do and try to get really, really good at what we do. And I think that's kind of our offensive philosophy.
Ryan Young.
Graham, building off that, what is the process of diagnosing the short yardage struggles? Have you guys gone back through every one of those situations, and is there a consistent theme you've spotted in those moments?
No, not really, to be honest. I mean, like I said, I think there was one from the other night. We didn't communicate it right, and they had a free hitter coming off the front side of the play, and then one of them, like I said, they were just more physical than we were, and that can't happen. That's just a mindset, and we talked about that yesterday. And then the third one, I thought, like I said, I think we actually got it. We ended up going for a fourth and did get it with Markese. But again, I think we just got to keep focusing, or not focus on it, but keep working on it, keep getting better, and going there with the mindset that every time we get a short yard situation, we'll be great at it, and we'll go get it.
And what's your overall evaluation of the offensive line to this point? And has it matched what you saw in the preseason?
Yeah, I think they've done a nice job. I think that last week, we didn't give a single sack, and that's a good thing. And we've rushed for, I don't know how many we've rushed for, but I think over 170 or something every single, in both games. And again, when you're not giving up many sacks, you're rushing the ball that efficiently. Obviously, it helps that we got some good players we're handing the football to. But in order to throw the ball as effectively as we can and not give up sacks, in order to run the ball as efficiently, those are the unsung heroes, you know what I mean? And those are the guys that I think often, as everyone knows, in the game of football get overlooked, and they don't get recognized until they mess up. And that's a tough position to play because of that, no one notices you until you messed up and you got someone hit. But like I said, to not give up any, I don't know how many sacks we gave up in the first game, but not many. But to protect as well as we protected, throw the ball as efficiently as effectively as we can throw it, and then to run the ball as effectively as we've run it in those first 2 games, I think a lot of credit goes to that offensive line. In a night when Keaton wasn't as sharp as he could be the other night, to be honest with you, the run game and that offensive line kept us alive because they kept protecting him, and they weren't getting hit very often. So he's able to still stand back there confidently. And we were able to take a lot of pressure off of him with running the ball effectively. And when you can do that, like I said, it just makes you that much more effective, because I think that a lot of times, especially in pass, offenses that people think are pass heavy, if the quarterback's not spinning it like he wants to, you're normally going to lose those football games. And in order for us to find a way to win games, when that's the case, we're relying heavily on that offensive line. And, you know, I think a lot of pressure is put on them because of that, or, you know, in those situations, and they answered the bell the other night.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. So we'll say thank you to Coach Harrell and Markese and Jalen. Great job. Thank you for being with us. To the media, we will see you tomorrow. We're going to have Drake Jackson, Raylan Goforth, and Todd Orlando with us tomorrow. So at 8 a.m., we'll see you then. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.